All right, we are live. How do everybody? Welcome to Dark Side Reviews. This is our convo theory discussion about
Everything.
episode 4, everything, which was crazy. So, wait a minute. Let me mute myself on my other screen. There we go. All right. Yeah, which was crazy, you guys. Anyway, we're going to get into it. So we are happy that you are here. Listen, if you got any theories or anything like that, please make sure you put that in the comments so that we can see what you saw, your insights. We want all of that. Now, before I get any further into this, I do want to introduce my illustrious guests. So please share who you are and where they can find you and all that good stuff. Let's start with my man, Ramon.
Hi guys, I've got a channel called Hit or Miss TV, and Al from Darkside was very kind enough to invite me on a couple of weeks ago, and I've been doing this ever since. I cover film, trends, news and reviews, and just basically gossip and stuff that's happening on a day-to-day basis, so come and check out some of the stuff on the channel.
Thank you, sir. All right, Durbin.
All right, I'm Durbin. I got this channel called Durbania, and I do movie reviews. I rank movies. I do this thing called a theological analysis where I like to find God in movies. And if you love Loki, but you're also watching this other show called The Chosen, I've been diving deep into that show as well. So come on over and let's talk.
Cool. All right, Stevie.
Yes, I am Stevie Cade, also known as Film Trigger on YouTube. And much like these other fellows here, I just talk about movies, do live watch parties, and I'm very happy to be here on Dark Side Reviews to talk about this fantastic episode of Loki.
All right, awesome. And look who the cat drug in.
Oh,
look
there he is.
Cat drug in.
There he is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he actually popped in just in time. Matthew, we were just making the rounds, man, talking a little bit about where people can find us, what we're doing. So we'll have you next share a little bit about who you are, your channel, and all that kind of good stuff.
Awesome. All right. So I'm a little late, but great. Name is Matthew. You can find me on YouTube at Matthew V. Haynes. And like what everyone else does, I do the same. Movie reactions, movie reviews, reactions, trailer reactions, breakdowns, theory videos, all that stuff, all that good stuff. So check it out.
All right, awesome. Well, shout out to the folks in the comments. Oh, look at that. My twin is in there. Wayne Seward is in there. And my cousin, Shalon. Shout out to both of them. And Brick is still here. He was actually the first one here. So we got some folks trickling in. We got 8 eyes on us so far, you guys. So we're going to jump in. Yes. Please don't be shy about sharing your comments. So first question is overall thoughts about this episode. What did you guys think? Episode 4 of Loki.
I loved it. I mean, if I was slightly disappointed in the last episode, this episode did exactly what I was hoping it would do. Retroactively made that last episode even better. And it made it worth it, that buildup they did with Sylvie and Loki, because so odd, but makes so much sense that if Loki's going to fall in love, he's going to fall in love with a variation of himself. But the way
that was so funny.
Did it and the crazy branch that it created, that raises more questions. But I'll stop there because overall thoughts, that's what I loved. It answered questions. It raised more questions. And it was everything that I loved about the show from that first episode.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Durbin from most of that, especially the relationship between Loki and what's her name? Sylvie. Yeah, she it's icky. It's kind of icky.
It is icky. Loki's icky.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Durbin, it makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time. You know, like if he's gonna fall in love with himself, okay, cool.
It makes so little sense, Steve, that it broke the timeline.
Right. But yeah, I love this episode, and I was actually a big fan of the last episode. I wasn't there for the discussion with that one, but yeah, I think that last episode definitely had more validity once you got into this one for people who maybe didn't like that third one. So
I absolutely loved it. I've got a ton of questions as well. So I think I'll kind of get to them as we go on. Because as I said last week, I don't know tons about Kang, but from what I do know, there was a lot of pointers in this that made me think, well, it's Kang. And there's something else I noticed as well. I don't know, again, if it's just me. You know, the hallway in the TVA, there's a symbol on the floor. And from what I know of Kang, it looks like his face, the symbol. It's like there's two swords and there's a mark under it in the eyes, and it looks like his face. I don't know if that's just me. I'll show you. I'll get the picture and show you. But it just made me think of his face, so I don't know if that's kind of a hint. So
I don't know if I ever noticed that. Now I'm going to be looking for it.
Yeah, it's like in the TVA when they're walking along, that camera always pans and shows them like walking down, so it shows like a bird's eye view, and it's a symbol that's on the floor, and it's like two swords, and it looks like eyes, but it looks like the mask. So, but I don't. You see what I mean? It might just be me.
Yeah.
Thinking too much and thinking, but no, overall I loved it. Really good, and this fudge is amazing. Oh, you can't see it because it's green screen. There you go.
We can see it. Oh no,
mate.
Yeah, it's kind of
candy carnival fudge. I just had to treat myself because I knew I was going to be up late,
man.
so
You're making me hungry.
It's good stuff, man.
Well, look, man, we gotta give you the addresses so you can put something in the mail for it. Hey, all right, Matthew. I got thoughts, but I'll bring up the rear. What do you think?
I like amazing, absolutely amazing. The last part, the last bit of the episode, I think, is what really threw me for a loop. Was just realizing, because I thought that was going to be it. I was like, okay, we got a tease of the timekeepers, and maybe we'll see them in the next episode. Maybe we'll see them in the finale. I'm like, there's no way we're going to see them now. And then they show them having a full conversation with Sylvie, and like that to me was like, wait a minute, they're doing this now? Like what? And she cuts off their head, and I'm like, whoa! And then the whole revelation and everything, and it was just like everyone else. Like I have a lot to say too, but just like what we said in last week's live was like it's Loki falling in love with Sylvie. It only makes sense. He's so narcissistic that he would fall in love with himself, and I love how they did that.
So that's an interesting thing because I feel like there's something different going on there. I can't put my finger on it, but there is something different going on there. And I feel like Marvel is feeding us that vibe, but I don't know if we're going to get bait and switched. I do want to comment on Angela Anderson's comment because like at the end of the episode, because she says for the first time I wasn't screaming at the TV when it was over. I mean, I was just like, mouth open, like, wow. At the end of this episode, it was just crazy, like so many things going on. And I will tell you, this episode for me did kind of justify or make episode 3 better for me because it kind of the way it ties things together.
Yeah,
especially if you watch it back to back.
Yeah. So and we know something happened on that planet. Loki was about to tell her something. Before he got nixed. So
that he loved her.
Well, it's just interesting, though, that would create a branch, right? Because this is an apocalyptic event. And the whole idea of the apocalyptic event is it's too late to change anything and create an alternate history because everybody's going to die. So what about what was about to be said branched off in a crazy branch that they'd never seen before?
Yeah. Like the... Go ahead, Matthew.
No, that was me. I was just going to say, like, what is that branch exactly? Where is that? Is what happening in the TVA? Are they in the branch? Is that possible? So like, I'm very curious to see what world that created. So.
Oh yeah. And you already know, said Loki and Sylvie were falling for each other, and that's how the branch was created. I get that. I'm just curious, how was it created? Just because they were falling in love? Because that's the apocalyptic event. They're all supposed to die. So would they have somehow in the last minute found a way of escape, creating an alternate branch timeline with their creepy love? Like, so many questions.
Love is a powerful force, Durbin.
It is a powerful force. In this case, it's a creepy force.
Very creepy, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was something definitely strange about that. Like the strength of that arc when you saw it on the screen was like crazy. It was almost like just straight. It went like straight up.
Yeah.
And
It
I'm
was
just like,
almost
And it was like
hitting that
it was
red
like
line.
curvy too. It was like kind
Do you know what? I
wavy.
know we're speaking about that, but it didn't even twig with me this whole time watching it, because I'm just sort of seeing Loki, Sylvie. I'm seeing them as independent beings and people. But that when Mobius did say to him, you know, the whole thing about being narcissistic, trust you to be you, to fall in love with yourself. I just thought that was so funny. I just thought it was so funny because I'm thinking, yeah, I didn't really look at it like that, but it's true. It's pretty messed up.
But didn't he steal that line from us last week? Like last week when we were talking, didn't we talk about how creepy? And of course, Loki would fall in love with himself.
Yeah.
And then
And
Owen Wilson heard our podcast, stole
and
the
one
line.
of you also said we were saying that the what's the name of the planet again? Lamentus, isn't it? Is it Lamentus? Yeah. When it was coming to the end of last week's episode, one of you said someone's going to have to come along and save them. Maybe they're going to see something and then go along, and that's exactly what happened.
yeah. I mean, you kind of knew something was going to happen at the end. I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case, or I wasn't sure if Loki was going to be like, "Psych, I'm just playing. It's not broke."
Yeah.
You know, and then use the Tim pad. But
so Fiery Death actually made a comment that I was actually about to say the same. I said the same thing actually. That remember Sif in that episode was talking about repeating over and over how he was always going to be alone and no one's going to be with, you know, he's always just going to be by himself and everything like that. So the fact that they are no longer alone and they're together, that is something that's not supposed to happen, period.
Oh.
In general, they found peace within themselves, but with each other.
Ooh.
And they're no longer alone in their heart, but with each other. So it's an interesting
that's deep,
interesting.
Matthew.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this show is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Fiery is saying that, and that by itself created a Nexus event.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say like, you know, oh, that's not supposed to happen. Well, that's only according to the TVA. You know.
Well, yeah.
The TVA is the only one saying that that's not supposed to happen. And this episode really led me into this rabbit hole of thinking about, you know, the Nexus events and why or how the TVA is controlling them and what exactly that means. Like, I started diving into this thought that maybe the TVA only nips, you know, Nexus events that will kind of reveal, that lead to the revealing what the TVA really are, or what that whole situation is. Maybe there's more of a purpose behind it besides, oh, that's not supposed to happen. It's a control to hide something, I think.
That's a
That
good
makes
point.
sense.
I mean, it's all about it's definitely all about control in the end, because who determines that? Who determines what is, like you said, like who determines what is supposed to happen and what's not supposed to happen? Because to them, according to their plan and how they want things to go, that's not supposed to happen. Like if I'm editing a video in Premiere, I want it to work the way I want it to work, and then Premiere throws a bug in
universe that doesn't want to do that.
Doesn't want to do what I want it to do. So I'm a timekeeper. I'm trying to fix my timeline, and you know, Premiere has other plans. So you know, it's all about control.
You know, it's interesting. I was watching a YouTube video today, diving into the various Easter eggs of the episode, but they said the most interesting thing because they were talking about how the universe is this thing that wants to be free. And here's the timekeepers, and they're trying to keep everything contained in the sacred timeline, which goes to Loki's purpose. He is the god of mischief. Mischief is, you know, wreaking havoc and creating chaos. And that's what Loki wants to do, is create mischief. He wants to create chaos. It's like the will of the universe trying to break the determinism of, you know, the timekeepers to have free will. So it's like we go all the way back to the first episode with this episode, with how many deep conversations we can have. I love this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Questions like that are crazy because they're like all over this episode, man. Just the whole idea of free will, determinism, what's fixed, what's not fixed. It's just it's like crazy fascinating just to think about that. I want to touch on Molly Williams' question here. You guys can see it. It says, I don't think it was romantic love. I think it was Loki being finally able to truly trust in another person and himself. I think it's him finally accepting himself through another version of himself.
I'll take that, Molly. But he did. I do think he's about to lean in for the kiss at the end, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I do see where you're coming from, Molly. Like I it could be interpreted that way. It could be interpreted like a million ways, but like I don't know. There's something that made me feel uncomfortable. Like I can like you can tell me that, and I can try to see it that way, but my heart's like, nah, dude. Like no. That was like Durbin said, he was going in for the kiss, dude. Like, I don't know.
I actually think Molly makes a good point here, because one of the things you do see from Loki is that whole idea of acceptance of himself. Like you saw it when he interacted with his father, Odin, and you see him kind of struggle with that at other times too, accepting kind of who he is, accepting that he's okay. And then even I think in this episode, even though you don't know if he was being mischievous or not, but he says something about like needing affirmation or needing acceptance or validate or something like that. So I don't know. I think this is a good point.
Yeah, I think this is also this is gonna make or break Loki, this situation, because we still don't know if Sylvie she might be conning the whole situation. She might be conning Loki, and like we could almost see this good side Loki coming out, and then she's gonna do something to break his trust, and then he might even be more eviler than he has been before. I'm really curious to see how this pans out between them, because I'm not so certain that Disney is going to have a ongoing relationship like this. You know what I mean? There's
Something tragic has to happen.
Yeah, there's this underlying, as we said, ickiness behind it. I'm not so sure that Disney wants
There's
that.
an ickiness behind it, but there is a common theme in this episode. I mean, the thing that creates that Nexus event is this weird love that exists between Loki and or Sylvie, right? And so like there's this weird love, and I can agree with Molly. I think there's this degree of self-acceptance. I agree with everybody else. There's this degree of trust where it is a being other than himself, and he's learning to trust somebody other than himself. But the point is he's not alone. And I think what hammers that point is when he goes in that time loop jail, and we have Sif return, which was just awesome. So I hope we get more Sif now. But there's a reason that Sif kept saying, "You will always be alone." I mean, it's a dumb line if she just said it arbitrarily. There's a reason that he was stuck in that particular time loop, that she said, "You will always be alone." And it has to do with that theme. He has found something in Sylvie. And I agree with you, Steve. This is Disney, so they probably will not carry on with some of the weird ickiness. But at the same time, they are really establishing something here about him not being alone and something that he's found in Sylvie.
Yeah. Sorry, real quick. I just want to give a quick shout out. My son is in the chat. Seth. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
No.
Okay. So I have a question actually. A question and a comment. It's weird. It is icky. It's very icky. But is it icky to really love yourself though? Like it really makes you question, because it's not like, I won't get too deep into it, because like you made a good point too, Stevie, because like, it's Disney. It's at the end of the day, it's a family company. Let's be real. It's a family, at least on paper, commercially, it's a family company. And I don't really think, because kids watch this stuff with their parents and stuff, they might be confused, they might ask some questions, like what's going on? I don't know. But in all reality, because in the comic books, it can get really weird. I mean, a comic book is open territory, so they can just kind of do whatever they want there. But it can get super weird. But is it really weird to love yourself? Because I actually saw someone in my comments say it was a joke, but he was like, if I found another version of myself and she looked exactly like Sylvie, I guess I'm gonna love myself too. So it was a joke, but I don't know.
I'd be curious to see if something happens to where we find out that she actually isn't a Loki variant. Maybe that's what she did to, start the Nexus event when she was a child. Maybe she actually killed the Loki variant of that world and took his spot or something. I don't know. Maybe something crazy like that might happen.
It's funny you say that, because I'm still not convinced that they are all variants. I'm not sure if that's completely true. I know she said it, and it does seem to be working out that way, but I'm not sure if it's completely true. And one of the reasons I think that is because when she asked the question about what makes Loki a Loki, And then she said, do you think it's the fact that we always lose? And Loki was like, well, no, we're something like we always come back or
we always survive or something, he said.
Right. Yeah, we always survive. I when I hear that, I think, you know what makes a Loki is that you guys are shifty and cannot be trusted. At your core, that's what makes a Loki.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if she is being 100% true when she says that. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, there's definitely a big question mark over her right now still.
It'd be an absolute stab in the chest for him, wouldn't it? That would be an absolute... That would be... I wouldn't want to see it, but at the same time I would, because it's the only time you sort of seen him open up the way he has in Marvel like this, and it's kind of expected that something comes along and just goes bang, and it would be good. As sad as it would be brilliant for the show, because I would be like, no way. Like, it would be good for the story, but there has, I like I said last week, I still think there has to be a tragic event by the end. There just has to be, because I don't know, it's just in my brain. There's something, it has to end on a note where you're left there lost, and like that didn't just happen. I just think that's because that's the whole thing with Loki, and it's got to, like, it has to be.
Left me lost and going, what just
happened? Yeah, and that's probably why I liked it, and I think it's the first time in a while I think they've taken a risk in their shows. Like the thing with the timekeepers with the head getting chopped off, I was like, what? Where did that come from? Okay, and then I was glad that it happened, because it was a curveball I weren't expecting. I was expecting just the straightforward story right at the end of the show. You know, and I thought that was good, because now I'm sitting there and I have no idea where it's going to go.
Yeah. I do have a question, though. If they were going to be pruned anyway, why were they granted audience to the timekeepers? Just so the timekeepers could have the satisfaction of watching them be killed? But then we get the revelation that those aren't the timekeepers. So it's like, what was the purpose of them going in the throne room before they were killed? There was a purpose. I just don't know it.
Yeah, and Mobius was supposed to be there too. I had big questions about that. You know, his ignorance to the TVA. You know, and what's her name? Ravana, is that her name?
I think
I hate her.
Yeah, you know, and like she obviously knows more of what's going on than she's leading on. You know, she obviously knew. You know, C-20. You know, didn't go mad. You know, they obviously pruned her. But I felt like Mobius supposed to be, you know, with the meeting the timekeepers was almost going to be I don't know, either he was getting a promotion in his job, or there was something about getting all of them in a room together that was supposed to happen. So I'm with you, Durbin. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about what you guys just shared, and then Joe's comment here. Al, speaking of trust, I don't trust Ravina. She told Sylvie she doesn't remember why she arrested her. Yeah, I think something's going on with her too.
I wanted to slap her, to be honest. Yeah. That was the lift scene. I wanted to slap her, mate, honestly, because that was that was a cruel. Yeah. You could see that Sylvie was sitting there, open up, saying, "Why did this happen?" And she was like, "Give me, like, I need something. Give me something." And you could see her smirk at the back of the lift. She goes, "I don't remember." And I thought, "You're nasty." Like,
yeah, she was being
petty. That was cruel.
Yeah.
But it takes us back to the first episode, right? You remember the first episode, we were all asking that question. What did Loki do wrong? He just reacted to what the Avengers did wrong. Like, he just acted according to his nature when the cube slid up to his feet. And
he's just Loki being Loki.
The way this opens with little girl Loki, and she's just a child, and she's stolen from her life, from something she didn't realize. Like, she's just living her life. It's like, what? And I'm curious, like, what was it that made her the variant? What was it that made them come after her? And I hope in the next 2 episodes we get into that. I'm sure we will. But it's another one of those questions raised, but it also, like, breaks the heart, because it's like, are you guys serious? She's just a kid, and you went for her. And then when they dropped the little thing that prunes and it destroyed her toys, I was like, "Oh, you jerk!"
Is it the case that whoever's behind the TVA wants all of the Lokis erased because one of them somewhere along the line is is the person that destroys TVA or whoever's behind it. So the person behind it created the TVA to hunt down all the Lokis to get them wiped out before they can. Because I don't, you know what I'm trying to say, didn't you? Like, I don't know, because as you say, the little girl hadn't actually done anything yet. So whoever's gone after the kid is.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I'm with you, Ramon. Like that's what I was kind of what I was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's something else behind the pruning, and these Nexus events. There's something more than just controlling the timeline. There's another integrity that we don't see yet.
Well, as we're finding out, all these TVA agents are variants, and they were plucked from their timeline. And so the question is, what is this other purpose going on? Because were they plucked from their timeline because they were variants, but they showcased a talent, so they made them soldiers? Or was it like little girl Loki? There was really no problem. They just reached into the timeline and plucked them out. And maybe little girl Loki embarrassed Ravonna by running out. Like,
yeah, I had that same exact thought. Wondering, actually, it's right in my notes. I said almost verbatim. Like, are these TVA variants, were they plucked because of their potential, of what they were going to do? But that opens up a whole new realm of questions of what does the TVA know? What do the timekeepers know? Because my biggest, what could be a loophole, and maybe you guys can clarify if it's not, but Loki grabbing the Tesseract at Endgame, and then he disappeared, and they clipped him off. They took him in, but everything that happened in Endgame was a reaction to him taking that Tesseract. Everything from that moment on was a reaction. So wouldn't that technically be, a Nexus event? That's something that happened that wasn't supposed to happen.
I mean, they did say they kind of. I think they kind of cleared that up in the first episode.
Oh, did they?
When they said that because when Loki said, "What about the Avengers? They're the two criminals. What are they doing?" And Ravonna says, "Well, that was supposed to happen. That's something that they supposedly allowed to happen because it was something that was supposed to." So they kind of brushed it off a little bit, but they just said it was allowed to happen. So I guess even that chain reaction
the point and muddles the point. It does both there, because whoever is actually in charge, like you said, Matthew, defined that that was okay. Like, they deemed that okay, but get that variant Loki. Like, there's a real. They aim at Loki. There's something about Loki and all the variants that they don't like.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something else going on here, and even with Renslayer, there's something else going on here. Like, I feel like there's a lot that we don't know about her, and it's interesting because I saw some other theory videos where some people were saying that they didn't think that she was a villain. They think that there might be some other stuff going on with her. But I do find it interesting, though, that if she pruned Loki, and why isn't he dead? Like, why does he wake up in this other place? I don't understand that. So there's more going on here with her.
Clearly, they're not pruned.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I think they're teleport. Oh no, sorry, Stevie. No,
Matthew, you're good.
No, I was just gonna say I thought they were just teleporting them. I don't even think it's a pruning machine. He's just more like a teleporter to some place because we saw those different Loki variants, and all of these are Lokis from the comic books that we know. Both for Loki. There's the one from the original comic books. There's Croc Loki. I think that's the one where Kid Loki, I think, turned Thor into a crocodile or something like that. I don't know. I think it was a storyline like that. So I think it's definitely teleporting the variants to some maybe apocalyptic area or post-apocalyptic area to be kind of like in like a purgatory. Angela says, like a purgatory, kind of like an endless, prison. But yeah.
Now, that does raise another question. If the pruning sticks don't prune them and they're teleported to another apocalyptic land, which if you look, that's like the rotted Avengers Tower in New York falling apart in the background when Loki lands there. What does the actual pruning thing do to the timeline that they're pruning? Does it just kill everybody? Is that how they prune the timeline? Like, it raises those questions now.
Well, that's the thing. So that's what I was going to say, Matthew. The only problem with that is that when you see them use the pruning device, that seems to erase everything from that timeline. That I guess that kind of like cuts off that branch or cuts off that facet. So it would seem to me that when they get pruned by the stick, that is it. Like, or at least it's supposed to be it. Oh, apparently it's not it, because we see Loki wake up in another place.
Did they really specify that the resetting machine is a pruning device, though? Did they specify
Well,
that?
it has the same special effect as the pruning device, and they say they're trimming the time, like the branches, and they're pruning it. So
Yeah, but you can drink water and use it to put out fire.
you were right, and I can't argue. I'm just saying it raises more questions than it answers.
No,
The fact that people are being teleported. Then what are they doing to those other branches?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so no, you're right though, Matthew. They don't specifically say that, but I guess the question then is begged: what is happening here, and what is the like? What I mean, what if what? And I guess I don't want to get too much in the weeds with this, but what is happening here when you get pruned? If you're not really just taken out, or you just kind of moved around the board to just different places, and that's just what happens, or.
Well, I think what Matthew said, at least from the information we have from the show already, that's what seems to make the most sense, is that when they're pruned, they're sent to an apocalyptic event that they're going to die anyway. Like it's about to happen. But then again, are they just like, also like Matthew said, is it a post-apocalyptic event? Why are all these Loki variants in this one spot that looks like it's already been, in an apocalypse, like,
I mean, and you do make a good point though, Stevie. Sorry, I just wanted to add to what you're saying about the killing thing, about them being dead anyway or going to die. The other Loki, told him that, like, he said, "Am I dead?" And he's like, "No, but you will be if you don't come with us."
Yeah.
So they definitely can die there, and it's definitely something that can kill them there. But yeah,
I think that's an interesting point too. And to me, again, like, that opens up the box for more questions, because what do you mean no that you will be if you don't come with us? So either there is a threat in that area, in that land, or in that period that can kill them. I don't know. That just opens up.
So does this mean that Mobius is still alive then?
that's what I'm
I think
thinking.
so.
And
I hope
probably
so, man.
dozens of Mobiuses are still alive somewhere. We might find an army of
Oh,
Owen Wilson somewhere.
Yeah,
there-
can you
there's-
imagine? Wow.
You might actually get to see him on his jet ski.
Yeah. There's no way they're not going to show him on that jet ski. They brought it up twice now.
It's got to be.
I mean, if they don't show him on that jet ski, then to me the whole show is a waste. That's it. That's what's going to make or break the show for me.
Steve, you reminded me of this. So when you have Ravonna and you have Mobius and they're sitting in the office and it looks like she's kind of hitting on him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she was really hitting on him a little bit? Or do you think she's testing him out to see, do you want your jet ski right now? Like, are we at that point again? Like, do you think she was testing him to see where he was at? And do we need to start this process over?
No,
again?
she definitely was.
And
that's how I took that. She was definitely, she had that look on her face at one point in time, when he said, "Oh, I'm just tired." She looked at him like, "I'm gonna have to kill this guy." Like, I'm gonna have to.
I love how he switched pads. Like, here she
Well,
is.
Well,
So
to support that theory, I was also going to mention that too. I think she left the pad on the table on purpose
To test him.
to test him. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
To see if he was going to do exactly what she thought he was going to do, which was to go in and try to free Loki, to feed his curiosity.
It was because she was pretty rapid in catching him. Yeah.
She knew it was a setup. It was a sting operation. She knew what was going to happen.
Following that scene, actually, there's one of my favorite scenes in it. He goes to get Loki out of the time cell, and as he's walking in, Loki's talking and he's saying, he says, "Shut up." He goes, "Shut up." He goes, Loki. He goes, "You told me to shut up." I just burst out laughing because that's the reason I love Loki. That sarcasm, I just loved it. I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in it. So it's simple things that please me, man.
Well, now, now you guys got me thinking, especially that last comment that Matthew made. I wonder actually if she kind of sensed that he was coming off the rails when he goes to visit her and they're kind of closing out the case. But I'm wondering if she was actually offering him some solace. Like, if you could go anywhere, where would you want to go? And if it was the case that she sent Loki to this spot or whatever, I wonder if she has the ability to send people to different points in the timeline where she wants to send them, and was like, listen,
That's a good
I
point.
can make this happen for you right now. And whether it's death or not, I can send you to this place, and that's just the end all and be all of it. Because
that's what's going to happen halfway up near the end. Loki's going to end up somewhere. He's going to look around. He's going to be on his jet ski. He goes, "I've been here ever since." That's what's going to happen. Would be nice, but yeah.
All I know is that you guys are missing the whole point. Y'all are missing the biggest thing that I think everybody's missing over.
Fill me in, Matthew. Fill me
Miss Minutes is the villain here. Okay.
You know, I had a similar thought at one point, but it was more of a joke. But
I'm low-key kind of suspicious of Miss Minutes, though. I don't know. Just something. Have you guys heard of the game Cuphead?
Yeah, of course. Great game.
Oh my. Okay, if you look up Cuphead and if you look up the villains in Cuphead, Miss Minutes looks exactly like one of those villains in Cuphead. Like they smile and they have the same art style and they smile. I don't know. It's something about Miss Minutes is that has my eye. Because like, why would they make a character poster of her? Then we make character posters of people that are important.
That's a good point.
I don't know, man. It's just something about it. I'm just
it might be more than the Jurassic Park cartoon filling us in on how it works. She might literally be a timekeeper.
And I think see, Lisa said people thinking Miss Minutes. Yeah, something sus about her. I also think Ravonna is working for Kang, but we can get to that.
Yeah.
Well, he does have that conversation with Miss Minutes and ask her, like, are you just a program or are you for real? And she's like, kind of both. So, I mean, she could be the big bad, kind of the big bad.
She plays a role in it somehow, I think.
Isn't she voiced by the actress who played Raven on Teen Titans Go?
Okay.
Was it Ravens?
And Harley Quinn on the video games.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's something they gave her a character poster, man. They don't give character posters to elemental things that is just there.
For sure. I didn't.
There's something about that.
But if she's got a poster, that's probably the twist. I would agree. And what do you do? How do you beat a hologram in that case? You got to go find where.
Well, it could be a disguise though. It could be like, because what I'm thinking is an anime I watch. It has a similar concept to this that uses I don't know. Okay, do you know how in Hinduism, like some of the gods have avatars?
Yes.
That they live through and they kind of look through the world and stuff. That's how I'm kind of seeing it. Like, I think that Kang or someone else is using different things within this TVA to kind of look through from a remote location. Like, there's definitely somebody controlling those timekeepers. And I think Miss Minutes is something, or like Wizard of Oz. That's another thing like Shannon and I talked about in our video, like Wizard of Oz, like someone behind the curtain. And I think Kang or someone, and Miss Minutes plays a role in this too, because if you go back and listen to what she was saying, some of the stuff she was saying, it was very, very suspicious. She irks me. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But yeah.
I'm going to love it if we get to the season finale and they pull the mask off Miss Minutes and, that's our villain. And I'm just going to be like, Matthew, he called it. He was right. But I agree with you. Now that you say it, it's kind of like it shattered the glass. It's like now that we know the 3 timekeepers aren't a threat, it's like, okay, what was behind the timekeepers? They're androids. What is Miss Minutes? She's a hologram from a computer. What is behind all of this?
I mean, I think now more than ever, even though we've heard a lot of different theories, some people, all kinds of wild theories online, but now I'm really leaning towards Kang. And the reason for that is almost every element that we've seen now has been like technology based. And not only is Kang a master of the timeline, he's also a master of really advanced technology. So you see the timekeepers are false, and then now you have Miss Minutes, and all that goes on in the TVA is really technology based. I mean, we've had this conversation as to whether or not is this magic or technology in the TV, and essentially they're saying this is really all just advanced technology.
I've got a strange question. Right, in WandaVision, Quicksilver was the Quicksilver from the X-Men. It
X-Men.
wasn't our other guy, right? So was he brought there by, is it Agatha?
Yes. Well,
Right.
technically, he was living in that town and just put under her spell. That's what they try to
Right.
reveal to us.
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't work.
Bonner.
No, I just had this. No, because you were just talking about the timekeepers and stuff. Yeah, they can't use the spells in the TVA, and see the big red thing behind where the timekeepers were. What if that was one of those runes that was in, like in WandaVision, the runes where you can't keep the
yeah,
you can't do the spells. Remember when Wanda was underground, there was them red the
the
runes.
hexes.
Yeah. So what if that red thing behind the red rune behind the timekeepers is one of them? I don't know.
I think it's just good mood lighting.
You reckon? I think so. Yeah, maybe.
It might
Well,
be, but you never know. There might be something to that.
Yeah, that's kind of deep.
No,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Ramon, because it's something that I kind of thought a little bit myself, that this entire TVA situation is a prefabricated existence. Like, they're taking powerful beings, bringing them into this area where their magic doesn't work, their powers don't work, the stones are useless, but that throws the entire MCU like to be pointless. That's why I don't believe that the timekeepers are there, to actually keep time. This is like a small operation pretending like they are the universe, controlling, but it's something else. It just goes to that big old question mark. What is this? What is the true integrity behind it? But Ramon, I get what you're saying, and
because that would explain as well the stones, because the stones wouldn't be worth anything in that time and place because it's under a spell not to work there. So everyone that sees it, like Loki, would see it and goes, "Oh, well, they're not worth nothing." Whereas if he gets out of that, they are worth something. They are what they are.
Well, speaking of technology, though, to add to what Al was saying too, actually, remember Loki did say this a couple times, especially in that episode. That's a wonderful piece of technology you have there. He literally says technology, and I don't think, since if it is technology based, this whole TVA is technology based. What if the only reasons the Infinity Stones don't work is because they found some way to temporarily nullify it while it's in there through technology?
Right, yeah, it'd be the same thing, just a different reason for it. Instead of the witchcraft, whatever.
That's why they're there, because they've taken them stones. My brain's gone blank. The Infinity Stones, from different timelines to keep them there, so people can't use them against them.
Well, there's also this
whoever's behind the TVA kind of thing.
There's also this parallel, now that you bring it up, with WandaVision and what happened there. I think of the TVA agents themselves. They're almost like the townspepeople. If they are variants, they have a pre-existing thing, and they're living in this brainwashed world that's not real for them. That's their reality there, but that's not who they really are. So there is a kind of mirrored situation there.
Yeah, the only thing about that is I still think that the restriction with stuff like magic and the stones are not necessarily time-based, but temporal-based. I think that it is because of where the TVA is. Like, I think, and the reason I think that is, I think that it does probably have a tie-in to Ant-Man, and that's why he wasn't affected by the blip, because he was in the quantum zone. So I'm wondering if it's more realm-based than it is technology based, even though you do have a lot of technology that's happening within that zone. So this is my thought on that.
My whole thing with the TVA set in the quantum realm, the reason I don't like to go off of it is a very nice theory, and it's a very, very wonderful theory. The only reason I don't like to go off that theory is because a lot of people I've seen use that theory, didn't come up with it, and just don't really have any thoughts to add to it in terms of like, oh, it's set in the quantum realm. But how do you get that? Like, where do you, like, how does that come from? Like, how do you explain that? And this is, by the way, Molly, I hope you don't think I'm saying anything about you. I've seen this a lot in my comments, and I've seen some people like, oh, it's in the quantum realm. I know I'm like, but how do you know that? Like, it's a good theory. it's nice. I've seen it all over the internet. I don't know who made it, but like it's a really good theory, and I it's definitely possible because with everything that they've said, like time works differently here. Time works differently in the quantum realm. And we know the Infinity Stones have no effect in the quantum realm too. So I don't know. It's just I don't want to think it's that easy. That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't want to think it's that simple. But yeah.
Yeah, it's an answer for all questions. Well, we can explain this. It must be the quantum realm because
exactly.
Yeah.
Like
But
that was so stuck alive. The quantum realm.
But I think it makes sense, though. I think it makes sense like when you build it out and when you think about what's coming, when you think about the multiverse of madness, when you think about Ant-Man and what is it, Quantum Mania? I think.
Yeah.
Quantum Mania, yeah.
So it make like those tie-ins to me makes sense. Like it might be easy. You're right, Matthew. Like it might be easy to say, like it's an easy default, but it makes sense that could work because it seems to link with the other stuff that we know is coming. So
I don't know. I don't mind it being simple or easy sometimes, depending on what it is. But I don't know. I guess this might just be my personal what I want to see. Because what I want to see personally is them explore the null time zone, like a place that doesn't exist within space and time. I want to see a different new aspect to add to something that we already have to further expand, the storylines for Marvel. By leaving it to the quantum realm, even though the quantum realm is very deep and it has a lot of complexity to it, I think just leaving it there is just a little, I don't know. I think it's a little boring and like not fun enough. I don't know. That just might be my personal bias, though.
No, I get what you're saying, Matthew. Like it's a very copy and paste answer. There's no depth to it besides just quantum realm.
Yeah.
And the show is pretty deep.
Yeah. Isn't trying to confuse. Okay. Yeah.
So, question: what do you all think about? Oh snap! I just had a brain freeze, and it just totally left my brain. Dang it.
Happens to me all the time.
Oh, this is not good. Because I told myself I didn't want to forget to ask this. So I said, let me ask you before you forget. And then I
do that all the time.
Quantum realm. Does that trigger it?
No. This is what I was going to say. Number one, someone don't let me forget to answer. I think it came up in chat and then a question about WandaVision because I did watch the last 2 episodes of WandaVision and I have a theory. But also, what did you guys think about the Easter eggs when he mentioned the folks they've had in the quantum zone and not the quantum zone in the TVA? And he said, I think, what did he say? He said vampires.
Vampires was one of them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
One.
All I gotta
we got
see.
Blade coming.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
We got vampires. It's like
vampires, Blade. Mm-hmm.
Is that did everybody think Blade? Because I kind of thought maybe Morbius.
Yeah, Morbius is definitely one that could be brought up into it. But the question is Morbius part of the Sonyverse or the MCU? Or is the Sonyverse now?
They confirmed it was a Sonyverse thing.
Okay.
I wonder though. I wonder if it's kind of Marvel's low key way of saying we got a surprise coming for you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they said Titans as well. So that means there's more than just Thanos as a Titan that's left out there, or I don't know, but yeah, they said Titans were there and Kree were there. Very interesting.
You know what's crazy though about that? When you think about that, like these cats, they must be monsters because some of the people that they are pulling into this zone are not easy to just subdue. So. Who are they? I mean,
I don't know.
But it's the same thing. Like going back to the whole technological thing, it's all technology. Because Kang was able to literally conquer worlds because of technology, not because he had any power. He's just a regular dude with a big brain and really advanced technology, right? If we go back to the caveman days, we would be like gods to those guys with just our phones. Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you don't have internet, but like just showing a phone is going to be like, what? So going back with technology makes you like a god.
Yeah.
And they had so much technology that here is Loki, who is a god. but they put him in slow motion and punched him in the face, and then he felt the whole ripple of that pain in real time. I mean, it's a testament to what they are capable of. So if Thanos stepped out of line, they could go and put him in slow-mo, punch him in the face, put the little thing around his neck, and bring him through the door.
It's definitely Kang. Kang has so much, access to technology and obviously time traveling. I don't know how the MCU is going to handle his situation, because his story is very complicated in the comic books and can really confuse people. Because it's like when they introduced Immortus, they're like, "The heck is this?" And then they're like, "Oh no, Immortus is actually Kang," and you're like, "Huh?" So, Marvel might keep it simple with that, but yeah, no, we'll see. Kang, especially with his time traveling and his technology, he obviously has something with the TVA. That's not even a concern for me.
Mephisto obviously had something to do with WandaVision, and then the writers were like, "We hadn't even heard about Mephisto until people started theorizing it online."
Yeah, no, I mean, you never know. I wanted to highlight Joel's comment, because I think this is a good point too. Dracula and Moon Knight are connected to Marvel's vampires too, and Titans could include Greeks like Hercules.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like I feel like lines like that, we as fans might go into it and just like do this like super deep extrapolation, but I feel like some of those lines could really just, almost like what you were saying, Matthew, be just expansion lines to say, all right, so we've dropped these kind of names, kind of like what happened during some of the earlier stuff with like Avengers, when we got these super early name drops of these characters like Wanda and her brother, but we didn't see them until like 5 years later or whatever. But we got these names, like they mentioned Wanda and her brother, I think, on the roof in Avengers. In that one, is that the right movie? Avengers? I think it was Avengers.
I know they mentioned Doctor Strange, and they mentioned Doctor Strange and Winter Soldier.
Then that's what it is, because I think at the same time they mentioned Wanda and her brother too, and then like 5 years later or something like that, we got the movie. So I feel like this could be set up for just the expansion of the MCU. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, they're not going to reveal nothing. If it's Kang or whoever it is, they're not going to reveal nothing in this. No way. Mm-mm. It's like you say, it's going to be something to just plant the seed, and then in like about 2 years or so, there'll be another movie that comes out, and it'll be an end credit scene like they did with Thanos. There'll be that was him all along. So they're not going to just going to do that. But
this is a decade event.
Yeah,
this is going to be the next thing that they work on. 20 years of Marvel. They spent 10 years on the recent phases and all that stuff.
Now we've been speaking about it last week and this week. I'm definitely looking forward to Blade. Definitely, because before I was a bit sort of, even though I love the actor in it, but for me, Blade is Snipes. Do you know what I mean? It's always I love him as Blade. So, but now we've been speaking about it. Yeah, I'm ready for more Blade. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you all already know how I feel about that. I think I mentioned it the last time. I think Mahershala is going to bring a level of performance that Wesley couldn't bring, but what Wesley does bring, that I don't know that Mahershala can bring, is the martial arts execution, because he is a legit martial artist. So
they're gonna use a stunt double.
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of, though, Matthew. Like, I just hope they pull it off well. You all know how I am.
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you in the same part, because it's like a Chadwick, may he rest. Like, that's one of the things I loved about Chadwick Boseman, was that he himself was a martial artist. And so a lot of the scenes in Black Panther, I know Ryan Coogler was talking about, a lot of the scenes in Black Panther, he did himself. Like the whole scene with him fighting and Michael B. Jordan of himself also has some boxing training, obviously with Creed. So both of them did a lot of their scenes on their own, and that was very cool. But I don't know. We'll see how they do with Blade. But they're most likely going to do a stunt double unless they, train. Because I don't know if you guys saw, they were training Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight stuff, and he was doing a lot of the stunts on his own and doing some martial arts on his own. Did you guys see the footage?
No.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were. It was on Twitter a while ago, but it was footage of Oscar Isaac. He was in a beard, and he was doing some training with some stunts and everything, and punching and kicks and all that stuff, and martial arts. He had a martial arts guy training him. So I don't know, unless they get a guy from Mahershala. If he's up for it, we don't know what route they'll go.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm super excited for Moon Knight too. I can't wait for that. So
yeah, I don't know much about Moon Knight, but I am looking forward to it. I know Moon Knight from a Spider-Man game. That's about it.
So, speaking of this, hey, sorry everybody, we're off track, but it happens sometimes. I had a question for you, Matthew. Would you, anybody else, but Matthew in particular, would you consider Moon Knight to be a reflection of DC's Batman?
Yes.
Okay.
1000%.
So just that simple. You say yes, like there's no.
No, I would say yes, because they have a lot of similarities, especially in the way how they obviously, he has more to him than Batman, of course, but like the way he operates in the comic books and the things he does, and the style of him and the style of the comic book, the style of the panels and everything just kind of remind me of Dark Knight, Killing Joke, kind of reminds me of all of that. So I would definitely say yes.
All right. Anybody else? Durbin?
I don't know Moon Knight enough to make the comparison. I just think if Batman could beat Superman, he could figure out how to beat the whole MCU as well.
Yeah, I mean
That's true.
That's the thing about Moon Knight. Like from what I understand about Moon Knight, I like the character. I'm not real familiar with Moon Knights in the comics though. Even though I have a few issues of Moon Knight actually. But he does not have he's not seen as being as prepared as Batman. Am I wrong about that, Matthew? They're not on the same level there, are they?
No, he's more of because he has a really dark past. I would say more. I don't want to compare it to Batman because like kind of being orphaned is not fun. But he did have money, and Moon Knight had a real crazy dark past. So the way and the way how he was brought up. So it wasn't, he was kind of rugged. That's why a lot of people, when they were doing fan casting, the first person they thought about was like Shia LaBeouf, because both of them have a very similar, I guess, story or things that they've been through in their lives. So no, I wouldn't say he's as prepared, but I think that's also what makes him really, really good.
I know, again, off topic, Shia LaBeouf, I never used to like him when I was younger, and over the last few years, and I've seen him in certain movies, I didn't realize I think he's an incredible actor. I didn't before, but I think it was Fury, and I can't remember, there was another one there was a disabled kid in it, and he's looking after a disabled kid, and I was just Peanut Butter Falcon it's called, and I just think Shia LaBeouf I think is incredible.
Yeah, Peanut Butter Falcon was actually pretty good.
Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a good movie. All right, everybody. I'm sorry I took us off track. I know it happens. It happens. So let's get back to Loki. So here's another interesting thing I wanted to bring up with Loki. And there's been some speculation online that where Loki is now, there are more Loki variants than just what we saw of the three that we saw, plus Loki there on the ground, which makes me think that might be the case, because when you see the trailers, there is another variation of Loki, unless he's just dressed differently, that looks like it could be another variant of Loki. Excuse me, in kind of the same setting that we see in this end credit scene from 4. I'm just wondering what you all think about that. Do you think in that place that they're actually going to find more variants of Loki than what we just saw?
Oh,
Definitely.
100%. I feel like that little grouping that we had is a representation of there are dozens of Lokis here. But it raises this question. Why are they on Earth in that New York area and not on Asgard?
Is it Earth? Or is it just a place that has...
The Avengers Tower was in the background.
I know.
The Avengers Tower in New York.
But they could literally like just take a bunch of broken things. Maybe it's a junk planet. Maybe they junk things that were dead in time. And they just took it out and just junked it on a planet.
And like Jeff Goldblum is going to be there ruling it. Like, I mean, that could be just another version of that.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to see... I hope they do this when they see Boastful Loki. When we see more of Boastful Loki, and I love his design. I can't wait to cosplay as him.
Yeah.
But
I gotta see that.
Oh, I can't wait because I do cosplays, man. I love it. But the I want to see our Loki get super jealous of the fact that he has a Mjolnir and he didn't get one.
I had a question.
Boastful Loki has a Mjolnir. Is that what I'm picking up then?
There is a version of Loki. I remember reading in the comics that he was the only Loki that was worthy of the name Thor.
Whoa.
So, but I think he was from a different Asgard or something like that. But yeah, I think if it is a Mjolnir and it's just not some scrapyard weapon, I do want to see him gets super jealous, like, why do you have one? I don't have one. And then like, because he's always been jealous of Thor and his hammer, and he tried picking it up a few times, it just never worked. So I just want to see him get salty about that. But yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what that hammer is, if that hammer is a version of Mjolnir, or is it something that he just kind of put together. It looks like it's manufactured. It doesn't look, doesn't look like Thor's Mjolnir. I'm not sure how it looks in the comic.
But Thor in Endgame's hammer was also manufactured from Groot's arm.
Yeah.
That's true.
The power of Thor is not the hammer.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that.
Yeah.
So maybe in
You're
another
not
universe.
the power of, what is it? You're the god of hammers, was it? Is that what he said, Odin?
Yeah, are you the god of hammers?
Yeah.
I love that line. I do.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
They better, speaking of that, and Thor Love and Thunder explore that whole idea, because that is amazing that the hammer was only there to help him focus his power and channel it. But we saw at the end of Ragnarok, he was able to channel it pretty good without the hammer, but we never went back to that, did we?
That's true.
That's true. That is true. That's interesting. That's funny. General's comment. It looks like it was made out of car parts.
It does, which I wonder if it's just made out of junk and kind of a nod to that, I guess, that version of Loki that has the hammer, because that did not look like a made in the heart of a dying star hammer that Loki is worthy of.
But it doesn't have to be made of the heart of a dying star. That's the whole thing. And like, what if it was made in the heart of a dying star, but the hammer is just a wrench? The actual, handle is just a wrench. I don't know. I could be shooting, but it would be cool because I guess that there is a version of him that does lift. He was worthy at one point. So this, sorry, I just saw a comment. Does the power of Groot now flow through? I'm sorry, I just saw that.
What's the very next movie that comes out? I mean, Black Widow is coming out, but I mean, what's the next? Is it Spider-Man?
Shang-Chi. I think that's September 13th.
Because I'm just trying to think, because we've got 2 episodes, so I'm just trying to think, because whatever the next film be linked to this, because obviously it's going to be to do with Spider-Man and the Multiverse of Madness as well. But I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to make it in my head what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes, because it could affect whatever the next movie is or crossover. Do you know what I mean? But if it's Shang-Chi, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that probably the next time we will see a reflection of this will be I can't remember what comes out first, if it's the Multiverse of Madness or if it's Quantumania. Anybody know which one of those drops first?
I don't remember either.
Sure.
I want to say Multiverse of Madness, but I'm not sure.
I feel like Multiverse of Madness.
But then wouldn't it be Spider-Man as well? Because if this is to do with things going crazy and there's going to have all the other Spider-Mans, that's December, isn't it? So
they keep trying to backtrack that, though, like officially in the press, and they could be lying to throw us off because they've even done that in trailers. But they keep trying to walk back that theory of a Spider-Verse, which might.
I just looked it up. I think Multiverse of Madness is 2022.
Okay,
and I think Quantumania is 23.
Oh wow! I didn't realize.
So in 2023 is Quantumania, where we definitely have Kang, right? Like that's
that was confirmed.
So would they really bring Kang in now in 2021, and then we have to wait 2 years?
We had to wait 2 years to see. We had to wait 5 years to see Thanos even to walk a step. Like this man,
so true.
All he said was, "I'll take it. I'll do this myself." And then we had to wait 5 to 6 years before you could see this man go.
It took him a long time to go
literally
get that
breathe.
first Power Stone.
No, I didn't know. We saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy. All we saw him was dudes turn in the chair. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, that was the end of what film again? I can't remember.
Avengers, and then Guardians of the Galaxy after that.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was the chair for sure. And
chair spin.
And then after that is, I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself.
It took you forever, dude. Maybe if you didn't give an Infinity Stone to Loki, you could have at least had the Mind Stone to go get it. Whatever.
Well, it's so funny because despite even that little bit that we got, everybody was super geek. When you saw it, you were like, oh, wow.
I was like that when I saw Wanda, just because I love her. But yeah, I think that was at the end of, I've got to remember what that was at the end of now. My brain's gone blank. When they're in the cells, and I think it isn't the Collector that's got them, is it? It's
you know about Age of Ultron?
Yeah, it's just before that. It's the film before that then. when they're in the cells. Do you remember at the end, and she's got the box and she's doing the brothers in the room going crazy. I can't remember what film that was.
That was Ultron. This light is blind to me. Let me see what happens.
Yeah, but yeah. God, we've got plenty more of that to come. Then, if Kang's going to be introduced, it will be introduced. It'll be footsteps. You'll just see footsteps, and then more in 5 years' time.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like this show is really setting the groundwork for probably Quantumania and what happens with Doctor Strange and all the other stuff that comes up in the multiverse. I feel like all of this is setting the groundwork, and it's so funny because I feel like to some extent we're talking about this show as if this is the final season. It is not.
Yeah,
there is there's more to come. So,
and will that more come before we get to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? Like, will we have season 2 before that?
So
that's a good question.
Another thing to think about too with the hammer, we can't forget that Beta Bill Ray actually exists, and Beta Bill Ray also had a hammer, and had the same powers as Thor as well.
And wasn't Beta Bill Ray's face on the trash planet as one of the champions?
Yep.
They teased them in Guardians. Yeah.
So Beta Bill Ray is confirmed. So, I mean, I'm going to stick to my guns and think that this is Milner, just because, you know, and if I was Loki and I had my chance, you know, some Uru, I mean, I would customize it in my own Loki way. I would like put some, you know, I don't know, I'd make it like have daggers on the side and wrap it in leather and stuff. I'd do all kinds of crazy stuff to it. You never know. Or maybe his hammer broke and he had to replace the handle on that planet. Or maybe it's just there for props because he can't use any of his powers.
Yeah.
Maybe his Milner doesn't work. And another thing too, though, about Milner, I don't know if Marvel will ever do this, is I know that Milner was able to allow Thor to travel through time. At one point in the comic books.
Time travel. I knew it opened the Bifrost for him and some of the other things. But
Immortus stole that time powering ability from him in the comics. I don't think they will do it, but it would be very cool. I don't know if they would ever do it though.
If they did, they would have to set it up. They couldn't just like have him do it. We'd be like, what's going on? So I don't know. I mean, that's why this show is really interesting. And it speaks to the fact that Feige said the show was so important because, again, I feel like it's laying groundwork to build on when we get to other movies and things like that. So it'll be really fascinating to see, again, how they roll all of this out. I'm also fascinated to see what they do next. I almost feel like, okay, what can be coming in these next 2 episodes? Like what story will unfold in these next 2 episodes?
Oh, I don't even have a clue. And that's why I'm so excited. Like, I love how they did this because I have more questions. I have no answers. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I also love how Sylvie really just disrupted everything. Like when she came in, now everybody is starting to wonder. And what's her name? I can never remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either. But it's not the soldier, the agent, right? Who was
is it D15?
B15
B or E15?
B15 was the one who was with Sylvie.
Right.
B15, yeah, and C20 was the one apparently, her brain went. Yeah, C20 and B15.
Yeah.
B15 story I thought was actually pretty emotional. The actor who played her, she
B15, I thought she was great.
She's amazing in Lovecraft Country.
She was in Lovecraft. Even though she made me mad in Lovecraft, I was like,
but that's what's great about her.
Yeah.
She did her thing. She was out here.
Yeah. And she's still alive. She just got knocked out.
Yeah.
That
episode. So I think
why did she just get knocked out? If she betrayed the TVA, you would think she would have been pruned, just like
maybe they can reprogram her too with some type of brainwashing device.
Yeah, maybe.
But also, she might be the Korg of the TVA, starting a revolution.
Yeah, I think she's gonna have a bigger role in the next few episodes.
I hope so. I like her.
Yeah, but I don't think that she's gonna make it to the end of this episode. I see her getting.
Oh no! Don't say that.
It's a hero's death.
I won't be happy.
Pruned and destroyed. Let it be in a heroic way. doing something that will alter the TVA or the face of the MCU.
No, I won't. I will not be happy if she gets killed. I will not be happy. Like
I wouldn't
she's
either,
one of
but
the.
if she is,
Yeah, I like
make
her.
it happen.
She's yeah.
I think she will. But I also think is going to happen though is I think that what we see happening now in the TVA will begin to happen on a larger scale. People will begin to question what's going on here. I think it's going to be harder for, Renslayer to keep all of that under wraps, and people will begin to question what is happening here. So,
Do you know who's going? I'll tell you who's going to rescue Sylvie, the one who had the Infinity Stones in the office, the geeky dude with the glasses.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
He will be seeing things and he'll be thinking something isn't right, and he will. Yeah,
That's his name, man.
Yeah, I think that's
Either he is a timekeeper or he is going to end up being the hero somehow. But he's got some role that he's going to play. I agree with that.
He is Casey. He is Miss Minutes.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be
what if he was Miss Minutes?
The programmer for Miss Minutes. Or what if Casey is actually Kang in disguise?
Oh man!
And is all Kang in disguised as Mephisto? No, Kang disguised as Mephisto, disguised as Casey, disguised as Miss Minutes.
And in 5 years' time, all of these little bits, there'll be a playback. There'll be a playback of what he said, and you'll go,
"Oh, yeah."
I'm picturing an episode of Scooby-Doo where they rip the mask off and they say it was him all the time. But wait, there's more. Rip off the second mask. It was her all this time. But hold on, ripping off the last mask. It's Miss Minutes.
And then they look super salty. They're always like,
"Yes,
right.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for Owen Wilson
meddling kids."
Yeah, it's something, man. Maybe that'll be a way for everybody's theories to be right.
He Who Remains, He Who Remains. What if he was He Who Remains? What if he was the last director of the TVA? Because I do think too, there's also He Who Remains. The comic He Who Remains. I don't know if you guys remember that I brought him up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. Will they bring? What if He Who Remains? Well, actually, you know what? It's not Kang. It's He Who Remains, and I'll tell you why. I love in the comic books, he made the timekeepers. Let's not forget he made them in the comic books. So it makes sense if he was just like an advanced Tony Stark and just made these timekeepers and just put them there to manage things, because that's what he did in the comic books. He put them there to manage timeline.
So then He Who Remains would be pretty upset that his robots are now destroyed.
You know what? It sure enough could be he. But the thing about it is, if it is He Who Remains, well, I guess he would work just to move the story along. But in the long run, what are you going to do with him? Like, I mean, you know what you're going to do with Kang. He's going to be probably one of your big bads. But what are you going to do with He Who Remains after that? I think he could work to move. You know what I mean? Like to move the story along. But at some point, like Yeah. It's so funny. Another theory I saw online was that some people thought it might be Eternity because in the Marvel universe, but I don't think it could be Eternity. That's just too big of a hero to bring in for this type of setup, should I say.
You guys are giving me so many characters I need to look up. Eternity, He Who Remains. I've never heard of these guys before.
I'm just over here just enjoying the conversation.
I see that comment that was just now, and it big red button, and it said about Mephisto being part of it, because that was brought up and everyone was talking about it all throughout, obviously, WandaVision, and then we was thinking something along those lines with the first episode of this. I think was it the church? Was it this? There's been another. It might have been this, or it might have been the Winter Soldier one. But yeah, Mephisto's been an ongoing thing. Do you guys think that will become part of what we have going forward? Do you think Mephisto will come up?
I don't know. And the only reason I say I don't know is because it sounded like the writers were like, "Wait, who's Mephisto?" When everybody was going crazy over that with WandaVision, which made a lot of fans pretty mad.
I don't trust the writers. They're liars.
They're
They
liars,
are.
man.
I mean,
They're
look at their
liars.
trailers. You know, they make stuff up. So yeah, it could be Mephisto.
I mean,
I don't know.
Mephisto is an integral part of Wanda's story.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
I don't see a way how they can avoid it for so long, because when they didn't introduce Mephisto in Infinity War, I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting, because Mephisto was actually like Thanos' errand boy in the comic books in the Infinity saga and Infinity storyline. So, but when he wasn't introduced then, I was like, okay, well, maybe they'll save him for later. And then, so I don't know, but I don't see them kind of working around that. I don't really see that.
I think
they have to introduce him.
Yeah, I think definitely will. When we see Wanda like we see her now, I think we will, and plus because of the kids, I think that we will definitely see him sooner or later.
Yeah.
I like Joel's comment. It was Mobius all along. And if we get that theme song and it was Mobius all this time.
As a joke, Marvel, they gave us Baron Zemo dancing in the club as a clip.
That was so awesome, man.
They need to give us Mobius all along.
You know what? When that happened, right? I was thinking, I've done that when I've been drunk. I've done that. I just saw that scene and I was like, oh no.
This is a joke that Alan and Durban would understand. You know that one Baptist church in the South that has like that one guy that's like super excited but can't dance, and he's like, any church that sings Hillsong music, and everyone. Yes. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
Any church that sings Hillsong music.
Elevation, Bethel, all of them.
Oh, that's funny.
You know I'm telling the truth, Durban. You know I'm telling.
Yes, I do. I do.
Oh man, it's so funny, man. Thinking about it was Mobius all along. And just watching those last two episodes of WandaVision, Christian Ham in that role as Agatha was so like we have to see more of her.
Oh, we do.
She was so good, man.
We gotta see more. There's no way they're done with the Wanda storyline, and I would love it if she's back in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think now what happened at the end of WandaVision. She broke the spell, and did she not? She put an enchantment. Did she put an enchantment on her?
Enchantment back over her.
Yeah,
so she lives out that character she created. So
that's right.
We will 100% see her back, because she said, if I need you, I know where to find you.
And find you. That was it. Yeah.
So we're gonna, and I can see her again. Oh, back again, Wanda?
Right.
Yeah, she's great.
And then Doctor Strange could walk in, and I'm here too.
And Agatha, and she hints to that too. Like, you're gonna need me. Like, you don't really know what you're getting into. You're gonna need me. So
yeah, apparently she awakened something by coming into the fullness of her chaotic magic and becoming this Nexus being. So, and then back to Loki. Like, everybody in the comments even earlier was like, how does Wanda tie into Loki? And I really hope that they do that in the 6th episode. I would love to see some sort of tie-in with Wanda or her chaotic magic or something.
I don't think they will. I think that the tie-in that we've gotten probably between Wanda and Loki, we already have, in the sense that now we know there are multiple timelines and we know her to be a Nexus being. I don't think we're actually going to see anything from her in this. I don't think in this show. But I could be wrong, but I definitely don't think we will in this season. That's just my thoughts on that.
I think the tie-ins are going to just be what lead up to one of the big cinematic movies. This is going to lead to that. Wanda's going to lead to that, and whatever show is going to lead to that. That's going to be the tie-in. I don't see them crisscrossing too much.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, because I feel like if you bring someone the scale of Wanda in, it's really hard to do that and only do it for an episode. You know what I mean? Like, or only do it for an episode or two, because she's such a huge character with such a crazy high power profile. It'd be hard to do that with just 1 or 2 episodes and people not want like a lot more.
And Loki needs to shine in this show. It's kind of his show, because like it's his name. because Falcon and Winter Soldier, the true shining star was Sam.
Right.
I think it was. I think you should actually rename the show Sam Wilson and occasionally Bucky, but the Sam Wilson show. But like it was about him, and he had to do his thing. He had to shine, and everyone had their shining moment. So I think to bring in Wanda, I think that would just
that was still my,
over.
That was still my sorry. That was still my biggest disappointment with Falcon Winter Soldier was with not having that thing that I said last week with Bucky not having a bit more of him in Wakanda and how he dealt with his problems and stuff. I'm still a bit gutted that they never explored that because I just think it could have been great,
And Bucky got gypped another way in this show because in the last episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it ended and changed the title to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And it's like, seriously? He hasn't earned the name White Wolf yet. He doesn't want to be the Winter Soldier. Come on.
Al, can I talk about a comment that I saw in the chat?
Yeah.
About the Living Tribunal. To bring in the Living Tribunal and one above all into the MCU.
Tell me what that is. I don't even know what any of those two things are.
So the Living Tribunal is like a cosmic presence, like a humanoid cosmic presence, and he has like some omniscience, some type of really big control over, like Jelani says, like cosmic imbalance and stuff like that. And he's arguably more powerful. He's on the list as being more powerful in the comic books than Thanos or Galactus and all those kinds of people. He's up there, but he doesn't like, Jelani kind of explains, but he doesn't really come in for like little things. He has a specific purpose, a specific role within the cosmos. But to introduce him and the one above all within the MCU, I think that's just going to further confuse because, everyone kind of talked a little bit about the regular watchers and people who are not really deep comic book fans. How can we make them enjoy a show or a movie without making them feel like they're stupid? Like, how can we confuse them? Like, people don't like being confused. I like being confused sometimes, but because it challenges my brain, but some people don't like that. Some people just want to turn on the TV and just enjoy a good show and not have to think too hard. And that's fine too. So I don't know if they'll introduce the Living Tribunal, at least not at least because to introduce a character like that, you have to go the complicated route or you can't cut corners with a character like that because it's so deep and it's so just fast and very complex. You can't cut corners. You can't, or else you'll end up like Galactus. Sorry, Ramon, but you'll end up like Galactus in Silver Surfer. If you cut corners, you can't do it.
I was gonna say the same thing, and that was one of the biggest complaints about Galactus and the Silver Surfer. People were like, "What was that?" So because he's so huge, you can't. And you're right, Matthew. I think that one of the things that Marvel has been able to do well is to tell a balanced story and introduce like a lot of non-comic book readers to the comic book realm, but not get so complex because like some of these characters can be really complex. And then when you look at who's writing the story and how stuff gets switched up, people are just like, I mean, it can be really confusing. So I think there's value in that. And like with the Living Tribunal and the one above all, it would be nuts. I don't think that the Living Tribunal I will tell you this, and not to try to overcomplicate it. See, Matthew, it's your fault because you brought it in. But
I saw the comment, but I just wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Living Tribunal would get involved in something like this. I don't think it's big enough for them to get involved in it. I think they would just watch it play out. And like, I mean, in the comic books, you saw what Thanos did, but that was because Thanos had the gauntlet and he was a real threat to everything.
Yeah.
So
where were the Eternals? Of all the times they should have intervened, it was right there with that freaking glove.
They were busy making X genes.
Oh, you know what? I would forgive them for that.
And to quote Lawrence Fishburne, as you brought up Galactus, it was worth that whole movie just to have him have that part. He is here. I was wicked, mate. I loved it. I don't care. I
just love your enthusiasm for that movie. Like
I love it, man.
I really love that you just love that movie.
And what's her name? And Sue Storm is in the interrogation room and he's tied up, and she goes, "Why are you looking at me like that?" You remind me of her. Yeah, bro. I just Silver Surfer in it, man. I love Silver Surfer.
Yeah, he's a beast. He is one of my favorites too. Nothing. Norrin Rad is his real name, or is
Norrin Rad? Yeah.
So
I wonder if they'll bring him into the MCU.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
I feel like you can bring him in. I mean, that's one thing. One follow up I will say after Matthew's comment, and then I think it was Jelani's comment. I do think that how they've set the MCU up now, you can bring in very powerful beings, but when you're talking about beings like the One Above All or Eternity or the Living Tribunal, they're like meta beings. But I do think the MCU has expanded itself to the point where you can bring in like crazy powerful people. So when I hear people,
phase 7 that we get
in like 15 years, though.
Yeah. They
gotta slowly work us up to it.
Right.
And I can't just shove it at us because some people are gonna be like, what the heck? I don't understand this. I can't enjoy it. And then only the comic book fans are enjoying this. And then you have the kids who are watching this with their parents. Mommy, what's that? Daddy, what's that? And you're like, I don't know. What's the read the comic books, man? I'm like, I can't tell you nothing. It's cool for us, but geeks and stuff. But just I'm thinking about the casual because that's where the money is. There's a lot of casual people.
That's where I am with Marvel. I'm one of the casual. Well, I love the movie, so I guess I'm less casual. But I don't have the comic book history. I know a little bit more about DC with the comic book history, and also because I love the animated movies. But even there, I still don't know everything. But especially with Marvel, all of my introduction has been the X-Men movies, the Fantastic Four movies, the MCU. That has been my introduction to Marvel is movies and not comics.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I'm not into the comics, never have been. That was my brother's realm. But these movies have really, it's really opened that window. And I respect the fact that I can sit and watch these films and not have to know about the comic books, and then to sit and discuss with you guys who do know about the comic books. I really enjoy your enthusiasm and hearing like this whole different world that exists out there, and I think it's actually turned my son into reading comic books. It's opened up the world for him where he wants to dive deeper himself. So I think the way Marvel's handling this is pretty well. DC needs some work though, unfortunately.
Yeah. I occasionally, because I don't know. I think because just the way how human brains work, and at least the way how mine works, it's kind of impossible for me to know everything about everything. Because even the many I've read over, I can't even tell you how many comic books I've read from both DC, Marvel, and Dark Horse, and all kinds of different comic books. Hellboy comics, I've read them all, but I don't remember everything. So occasionally I go through and I try to make it a habit of myself at least a couple times a year. My grandfather used to have this thing because he used to be a reverend back in the day, and he used to do this thing where he used to try to memorize the Bible once a year. He would read every single page for a whole year and try to memorize everything. So I kind of took that type of discipline. I'm like, you know what? Maybe once a year I'm just gonna go, or a couple times a year I'm gonna go over the Marvel Encyclopedia and challenge myself to know about characters. And you believe me, the stupid characters you find in. Have you ever heard of Matter Eater Lad?
No.
Matter
Eater Lad. Something like ridiculous, like Condiment Man from one of Batman's villains.
They have some really stupid hero names and characters that they introduce in shows like The Flash and stuff, like villains you never heard of. And you're like, what? But Matter Eater Lad, there's arm fall off boy. He literally rips his arm off and hits people with his arm. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
Arm fall off boy, I like that. That's a good
arm
name.
Fall off boy, yeah. And there's a guy that has, he doesn't have arms, but he has really sharp toenails. And he's like a tiger, and he just cuts people with his toenails.
Ooh.
Is this DC?
Marvel and DC.
Oh.
My wife would accuse me of being that toenail guy. She says I have really sharp toenails, and I cut her all the time.
Yeah, it's just.
Durban.
I think for you too, Durban, you definitely. I don't know. I make it a fun thing. Going to Marvel website, they have a cool encyclopedia. You just kind of read up on some stuff. You never know when it'll come into play.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, for if you want to skip, because at this point, if you haven't been a long time reader and you go back and try to read the books, it'll take forever. So I always recommend Comics Explained. Rob does a really good job of summing up stuff. I mean, his tagline is like, "Give me 30 minutes, and I'll make you a comic book expert."
Yeah,
he does a really good job of like summing up stuff. So.
You know what I also recommend too? I also recommend, because this is how I got back into comic books. I always say find a character that you like and try to read their most popular stories from beginning to current. And I did that with Black Panther. When I really wanted to get into it, and then I did that. I went back all the way back to when he was introduced in Fantastic Four, and then I read not everything from that time, but like some of the major arcs, and I just read them, and one thing led me to the next, and bought all this earlier stuff, and then ended up to the more recent stuff, and then that would bring me onto different characters that I never heard of, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if this character has a story, and then look them up, and then see, they have a whole line of stories, and then so I always, that's why I recommend to people who think comic book reading is
that's what I did as a kid as well. Mine was Silver Surfer. And that's funny you say it like that. It started off because Amazing Spider-Man had Iceman in it. I loved Iceman. So I read a lot of his stuff. Then it was Silver Surfer. And ever since, everything it's been Silver Surfer and Vision as well. They're the three that I just love the characters. But
even too though, like for any new comic book fans, and I'm not sponsored to say this, but Marvel, if you want to sponsor your boy, I got you. Marvel Unlimited is a great app that I use occasionally too. What they've been doing lately is they've been for all the upcoming next phase of the MCU, they have organized in their digital store. It's a subscription, like $10 a month if you can afford to have the disposable income for that. They have all of the characters that are coming up, like Shang-Chi. If you don't know much about Shang-Chi, you have all the major arcs listed in the whole thing. You can just go and read those pages, read everything. They have stuff for Loki, Black Widow, any specific character that you like. They have everything kind of organized, and they make it easier for you to get to know more about a certain character. So definitely check out Marvel Unlimited. It's a great way to get some more information about certain characters. I did that for Falcon and Winter Soldier before it came out, and read some stuff, and I was like, okay, when I saw the show, I was like, okay, I read that in the comic book. That was cool. So yeah. Not sponsored.
Well, you should be, buddy.
Man, I'd sell it, right?
You should, it's so well. Never mind. I was going to take us off track again.
Well, last time we got into a long discourse about Fast and the Furious, so really you can't take us that much more off course.
Well, this will be totally off track. It's my rant about how I should get a brand deal with Audible, because I use them so much. Like Audible is funny, Raymond. That's how I really got into the Witcher series, because the audio book for The Witcher on Audible, I've never ever heard an audio book so engaging in my life. Like I have to literally like stop and say, okay, I need to be doing something else. Like this is just irresponsible, but it's hard to stop listening to it. It's so good. So, and I always recommend people get Audible and just listen to The Witcher. It's better if you listen to them in a certain order, and I don't have that order written down, but they're almost all on Audible, and it really brings you up to speed, especially if you're watching the show.
That's what one of my friends does. He done that again. Sorry to go off topic. One of my friends does that with Harry Potter, because he's got kids and everything. He doesn't have time to watch, catch up with everything he wanted to watch, and that's exactly how he heard all the Harry Potter stories when he's at work and stuff like that. He's just got it in one ear, and you know what I mean. But yeah, that seems to be quite a big thing now. A lot of people do that.
I use Audible right now.
Oh, really?
I'm getting through. Yeah, I use it like all the time. I have the Audible on the subscription, where you get credits, and you can use the credits to get like more audiobooks. Yeah, and I've been using it for the Star Wars High Republic series, which I've been loving. But the thing is, I don't know how people listen to audiobooks and do other things, because I can only really, especially if it's really, I've been listening to Dune as well, and the narrator is amazing. Like it's performed.
That's good. I tried to read the book.
And it's great.
I still remember I stopped on page 91 because it's like, this is too weird.
Yeah, it's deep book, but they have like, I'm sorry to keep it off track. Sorry. But the thing about Audible is that sometimes they might bring in like a cast, and everyone kind of reads in the voice of their character. Like especially for Dune, if you get that on Audible, they read it. It's not just you have a narrator and you have different people voicing the characters throughout there. So I did it, and Yeah, no, it's great. It's I love it. But I don't know how people do things while listening to it because I
Yeah,
can
you
get
can't, yeah.
engaged.
Now
I have to
you
like sit
guys
down
are-
and be like,
Now you guys have given it such high recommendation. I will do that and I'll check it out.
"Oh, Audible's great."
If, like, to me, Audible is definitely worth the subscription. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
question.
Oh, yeah.
No question. And plus, the books that you don't like, you can
Mhm.
return. Like, if you listen to them and you don't like them, you can return them and get the credit back, and then just get something else.
And you can set
That's
timers.
cool.
You can set timers too. Like for instance, I don't know. For me, if you there's some books you see, right, and you're like, I don't feel like reading. I don't want to read. I don't have time to sit down and dedicate time to reading. It's great. Like if you're in the gym, you're driving, like a podcast. Like you only have like an hour or maybe 20 minutes to work or something, or wherever you're going. Just pop it on. Listen to it. It pauses. You can put a sleep timer on it to turn off. You know, if you know you fall asleep within 30 minutes, set it to turn off in 30 minutes. Like it's very good. I love Audible. I recommend it to anybody, especially if you love books but don't like reading and you want to get through it and they have the time limit on it. If it's like, okay, it's an 8-hour book. Okay, I can set aside like an hour a day or finish it. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, agreed.
Sponsor us, Amazon, Marvel. We will sell your products.
All right, since we have grossly gone off track, which we tend to do on these things. So I do have a question for you all, and also this is for people in the chat. What do you hope to see in the next episode of Loki? I know that's a big question, but like, what are you hoping to see? Are there any questions you're hoping we get answered? We've only got 2 more episodes before this season ends. I know that there's a season 2 that's coming. I have no idea when it's coming, but what are you hoping to see? What questions are you hoping to get answered in these next 2 episodes? And this is for us, and this is for the people in the chat also.
I have to think for a minute.
Yeah, that's a tough question because I don't even know what questions to ask. Like obviously I want, hopefully they let us in on what is going on with the timekeepers, who is really behind this. Matthew was talking earlier about I forget the person's name, that one character who created the timekeepers.
He Who Remains.
Yeah, I would really like to see that element come in. Just because that's the biggest question. Like I'm more curious about, why the TVA exists, why the timekeepers were put into place, and I want to know the integrity behind it. Like there has to be something there. These people aren't there to control the universe, to blindly help people. They're there for their own reasons, and I want to know what those reasons are.
I want the legit answer. Why did they take Sylvie from her life? That's what I want. And the next episode, but the next 2 especially, I want that answer. That better not be a cliffhanger for season 2. I want it in the next 2 episodes.
Yeah. I think that I want to know like what's going on, like who really is running things, really, like you said, Stevie, and what is the catalyst behind this? Like, why is all this happening? I don't think that it's about the integrity of the timeline. This is all for some kind of game, and I want to know who's behind it all. Yeah. I suspect that it will probably be Kang, but at the same time, Marvel throws us so many curveballs that I'm not really sure what's going on. So in my reaction on I don't know if it was on my channel or my fiance's channel, but I think we talked about I don't know, did we even talk about it in the video? I don't remember. I think we talked about it after, and we were like just kind of thinking about the episode. It was the fact that maybe, because you asked yourself the question, right? They have this flat monitor, this kind of 21:9 ultra wide monitor, just looking at this one timeline. What if that timeline, what if there already are other timelines that they don't want people to see? And what if those branches are not timelines, but more like pathways and roads that can lead to other timelines that they don't want people to see? And maybe each of one of those timelines have their own stream of time. And what if there's multiple TVAs that control each timeline? So that was just a question that I had. I don't know if it would ever get that complicated, but I think I would want to see, like, pretty much what everyone's saying. What is the actual
purpose of all this? Who's behind this? What are they trying to actually achieve? Are they trying to do the timelines power some weird technology? Does it, like, you know, I don't know, is it just space cosmos chess? Like, what is going on? You know, so that's just the biggest question I think everyone has.
Yeah, they're hiding in this "we're protecting the universe" concept, when in all actuality, you know, the universe is doing what the universe does, and they're clipping what doesn't fit into their narrative for whatever reasons, you know. So like they instantly come from this, hey, we're the good guys, to no, actually we're not. We have an agenda. So yeah, that's the big question mark for me.
But you know what's crazy too? I don't, you know, they never said they were the good guys. They said they are keepers of time. Like, they literally whatever that means. They make sure the timeline operates the way it's supposed to. They never said they were good.
Well, yeah, no, fair enough, but it was definitely like hinted, you know. I mean, obviously,
oh yeah,
you have Morbius and all these people that they're there, like they've been, you know, they're just in their midlife crisis, you know. I'm just doing my job, you know. I work for a good company. Maybe someday I'll retire, you know. Like, you know, they're see, they put off this almost mirrored image of what our world actually is, like,
yeah,
here on Earth, you, me, everybody here, you know, and they relate it that way, but you know, it's not reality, and we're learning more and more about it. But I've rambled on enough about it. So
I mean, even to hear you share that, like, reminds me, it just reinforces my whole thought about this being Kang, because when you just think about his MO and how he controls the timeline, I could totally see him putting in an organization like this just to make sure that, if but for nothing else, the things that he has set up for himself do not get dismantled. So, you know, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I hope to, like you said, find out what's going on here too. And you guys, we're gonna get ready to wrap up, but I want to switch gears and wrap up with something I noticed during WandaVision. That kind of ties into this. So I was looking at the last scene of WandaVision, that last cut scene, and first let me say, man, I don't know. You know, after seeing this 4th episode of Loki, I had Loki as my favorite show. But then after watching that final episode of WandaVision again, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I love the emotional pull that WandaVision had. I'm not ashamed. Look, I was a little quivery lipped on that. I mean, I'll admit it. But anyway, so at the end,
yes, that was good. It was the ending of that was fantastic.
It was so good, man. Yeah. But that final cut scene, and I just picked it up when I saw it. When she hears the voice of her kids when she's reading The Darkhold, at first I thought that she was just kind of she heard it, but she didn't, you know, she just continued to do what she was doing. She heard it, but she actually responds to that immediately when she hears that. If you go back and look at that end scene, when she hears her kid's voice and then you look at her face and kind of what she does with her hand, she doesn't continue to read the book. She's like, I gotta go. Like, I hear them, I gotta go. The reason I'm bringing that up is because that's interesting to me based on what we talked about last week. And if it is the case that Wanda is hearing those kids that are not in that dimension, that are in another dimension or another timeline, which she could do as a Nexus being, and then go straight to that spot. And I'm wondering if that's how she will enter all that's going on with the, with Loki and kind of get involved in the different multiverses, because I just wanted to throw that out there and see what you guys think about that.
Well, what if she's using this as a, like, what if we do see her, like you said, like, show up because she's on this, Indiana Jones journey looking for her kids, and then kind of just stumble across something on the way. But I'm also thinking too, because we did talk about Mephisto, that there is also a possibility it could just be him playing tricks on her.
Oh, absolutely,
definitely baiting her.
Yeah,
to kind of go to where he is.
Yeah,
so that's also a possibility. But I do think that would definitely work, especially like introducing her in like Doctor Strange and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's a good inroads to it too. Put Molly's comment up. Yeah, Molly, it's hard. It's hard. I don't know.
It's WandaVision for me right now. I'm sorry.
I think so
I think
far.
I'm confident on that. I think confidently I can say WandaVision. I've had more fun watching that show than I am with Loki, but for two different reasons. Not to say Loki's is boring. Loki has its own different type of fun to it, and its own different type of, because we have these deep, crazy conversations, you know, that I didn't have with WandaVision. I had them, but not this deep. It was just more like Mephisto. Is this Mephisto? Will we see Reed Richards? Is the person that, you know, Monica meeting up with? Is it Reed? Like, those are the questions that, you know, that I was asking. But I don't know. I think as of right now, WandaVision would be my favorite.
I think I only lean towards WandaVision because we got the whole first season, so we've seen that whole story play out.
That's true.
I'm really loving Loki right now. So even though I kind of lean towards WandaVision, I can't wait till we get these final 2 episodes of Loki, because that will really tell me which one I like.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't considered
all
that.
The Marvel shows, I didn't even give them a letter grade until we got the finale. Then I could go back and look at it as a whole and give it a grade.
All right, so maybe I'll take it back for now and wait till Loki's finished.
Yeah, because to be honest, I was the same before the shows came out. The one I was looking forward to the most was Loki, because as I stress all the time, it's one of my favorite characters. But as it stands, I'm the same as you, Matthew. Like, it's WandaVision was just so good. All round, it was just so good, and I think it was because it was completely different as well. Like, it was the whole thing with the TV, the beginning. I know you weren't keen on it, Durban, the first couple in black and white, but like,
I love
it now. But when it was airing, by that 3rd episode, I was like, something else needs to happen. I get it, but once I got it, I don't have that same problem anymore. It's gone. It's gone.
It was so different for me,
but it was
too,
very,
though.
very good. Yeah,
every single one of those TV ones, because as someone who, you know, I love sitcoms. I watch like Friends, you know, Dick Van Dyke Show, like, you know, Bewitched. I watch a lot of that stuff going on.
All of that going on, yeah, that vibe.
So
to it, yeah.
For me, it was cool to accept it as that. I was okay because I knew Marvel was going to give us something else, but just that little, you know. And that they would throw my accent almost came out a second. My Guyanese accent almost came out for a second, but yeah. They would throw in some like little weird things in every single one of those TV shows. Like when, you know, weird TV glitch when Vision was just like repeated himself, and like I was like, what the heck was that?
Yeah, that stuff was really
that
good.
stuff was weird, and I loved it. But I also loved the thing like the music, because I loved the intros and how they kind of stylized them and aesthetically.
It's amazing.
And even the aspect ratios of the episodes, how they shot them, the color transitions, the color gamut, all of that stuff was great.
They use the shot ratios to show you're moving into another scene now. Like,
yes.
You would see the black bars come down when it's going into a show, or coming from the side, but then you'd see them disappear when we're going into real life. It's like how you always knew where you were. It's really interesting.
All of those sitcom episodes I actually loved. I had no complaints about them. But yeah, sorry,
I'm better with them now. It's not like I complain. Like it's fun. Like it is fun. But when I got to that 3rd episode, I was like, oh my gosh. Like I think like every time they glitched, I found it more interesting than all the sitcom stuff they were going through.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is it glitching? Get into that, and then you can give me more of the tropes.
Yeah,
but now I can enjoy it.
I found WandaVision to be exhausting in the first 3 episodes. Like in my in the first watch, you know, like I enjoyed that stuff. Like just like Matthew said, I grew up watching reruns. I Love Lucy, all that stuff. Like, so I did enjoy it, but the entire time I'm just like, but what's the point? What's gonna happen? You know, and also, so to answer the question, Loki right now is my favorite of the 2. You know, we'll see how it pans out, you know, by the end. But WandaVision was a good story for Wanda. It was a good, you know, we learned a lot about her, what she's capable of, you know, where she's at in her head, which is a good thing for Wanda. Loki, it's a lot bigger. There's a lot bigger going on here that really impacts the MCU, and I really enjoyed the aspect that it took place right from Endgame. You know, like it seemed right in from the cinematic universe, and I really enjoyed that transition. WandaVision did complete opposite of that. It's like, we're not going to take you anywhere. We're just going to throw you into a random spot and let you figure it out in 4 episodes or so. So far, my answer is Loki is. I've been more entertained every week, looking forward to each episode. WandaVision, if episode 4 didn't start answering questions, I was going to be done with it. So,
well, like you said, Stevie, though, like that's kind of to add more to my perspective on it. Like, yes, I do take back my initial statement in saying I did. Okay, I am leaning more towards WandaVision. Yes. But I do think that WandaVision and Loki have, like you said, have their own purpose. They have their own initial goal. Like they have their own reasons for their characters and what it actually means to the MCU. So I can't really compare the two of them because they had 2 different end games. But yeah, no. Look, I look forward to watching Loki every single week. It's exciting. We're having these great conversations. These live streams have been fun. But as of now, just leaning more towards Loki. But yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a difference here when you have Loki, a character that we've known, loved, like we know what Loki's capable of, and now we're watching Loki like question himself, like, oh my gosh, like maybe I could be better. He's really, he's really diving deep into his own psyche, and in comparison, WandaVision is complete opposite of that. We don't know too much about her, and now she's discovering what she's capable of. So in that sense, it's almost the same story, but in reverse for each character. But again, I choose Loki as my favorite so far because it just streamlines right from Endgame, and like I didn't have to invest multiple episodes before I really realized what was going on. And going back, if I were to rewatch WandaVision now, I'd probably enjoy those episodes a lot better than I did the first watch. So.
I've rewatched WandaVision twice now, and it's awesome.
Same. Yeah,
it is so much better. Like especially when you have that Marvel background, and it's really interesting all the little things that you find when you have that knowledge and you go back into it again. So I'm looking forward to going back into Loki again to find all that little stuff. Something you said, Steve, it triggered this memory when Owen Wilson comes up to Loki and he says, "If we do this right, you could be whatever you want. Even a good guy." I don't know if anybody's told you that. Such a great little moment between Loki and Loki.
And that smile he had too was very wholesome.
Loki seems to really be falling into something I said our very first stream, and that was I feel like if he keeps going on this trajectory, he's going to end up being somebody who wants to be a good guy, but he's going to be in an odd position to where nobody's going to believe him anymore. He's going to want to do better, but it's always going to, you're the god of mischief. He's, no one's going to understand this, story that he's experiencing right now, because he is the only one experiencing it from, his timeline that we're aware of anyway.
It's an interesting thing, because I think you all are right. And we all know this when we see movies, that every movie kind of has a theme that's not necessarily the overarching theme on the surface. Like when I look at Loki, thematically, it seems like a guy who is looking for almost a search for significance or a search for his true self. Wanda was really her kind of working out her grief. Or if we think about other movies like Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, was really a movie about a relationship between his father and his daughter and the restoration of that relationship.
Was it though? Was it?
Was it? Durbin, don't set my example, man.
Aliens.
I mean, it kind of was though.
Yeah, it was.
Was it though?
It was so dimly in the background. You could say, yeah, sort of, kind of is.
Was it though?
And,
was it though?
Listen, man, I'm trying to make a point here, brother. But anyway, no, I see what you're saying, Durbin. But the reason I say that is that I think that right now for WandaVision, to me, what was really powerful about that story, it was exploring. It is the fact that they explored her grief, and it took a little bit for us to get into it. But she was hurting so much that she made this whole world. But it also, kind of to speak to what you were saying, Stevie, it also, to me, takes off from Endgame, where I felt like the emotional hurt when Vision gets killed, when Thanos like just snatches the stone out of his head and he just all the color and he just drops. So for me, the continuation of experiencing or examining that grief that Wanda feels in WandaVision is a rollover from the movie, and I just felt like that was really, really powerfully done. And even though that film had a lot of different nuances of stuff in it that was really weird, it seemed more like more of a focused story about Wanda and her grief than Loki does now. Like Loki has a lot of aspects of it that are not all over the place, but that are not super focused, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that what you were just saying about the rollover of the grief? You've just reminded me of something that brought that to the forefront when I was watching WandaVision. That's when, I think it's the second to last episode, where Vision goes off on his own during the day. She says, "Where are you going?" And he goes, "Oh, I'll be back later." And he goes off, and as he gets further away, do you remember everyone was just standing still? And I think he finds Agatha in a car at the end of the road.
Yeah.
And he says something to her, and he asks her a question, and it's like she's snapped out of it, and she says, "You're dead." And then it kind of starts to twig in his brain, and he starts to realize everything. That's the same thing. That scenes like that, they're just incredible. That's just incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
This is a sidebar. I don't know how many of you guys actually saw what Sophia, who plays Sylvie, posted on her social media.
I didn't.
So I think she had a newborn recently. While she was filming this. So in her costume, I think I'm actually looking at it right now. It just popped up on my notification. The costume designer cut like slits on her chest area so that'd be easier for her to pump for her child, so that her child can get. Wow. Yeah, so it'll be easy for her to just do stuff like that without having to take off a full costume every single time and do that. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought that was actually kind of considerate of the costume designers and Marvel to think about that, especially for moms out there doing their thing like that. You know how they are in these costumes, like they sweat all day and like they can't get out, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
it took five Batman
considerate.
Movies. It took 5 Batman movies before they figured out how to let somebody use the restroom. Yeah,
right. It's crazy. Yeah, because Christian Bale tell him like it's something about make sure you can pee or something like that.
Yeah. Make sure you go to the bathroom before you get in your costume.
Yeah, because he had hell.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to bring that up since it's related to
And when you
Loki.
said as well about what would you like to see at the end of the show, I can't really answer that. I'll echo what you all said. You kind of want an answer as to what's behind all of this as a main thing. But what would I personally like to see? One is the jet ski, which has been mentioned, because it's just a nice thing fans just want to see. Another thing that I would personally want to see, which is never going to happen, I would love a moment, even if it's some sort of alternate timeline thing for a second, of Loki seeing Thor. I know we're not going to get that, but just kind of because he's dead, just to kind of just have a moment. That's all. I know we're not going to get that, but that's just a personal thing, what I would like to see.
Yeah. Is he dead though? It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Only one version of him is dead. This is a version that got plucked out of time and maybe could pluck himself back into time and encounter Thor. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe that will come in a bit later on in the movie or something like that. Yeah, it's just because the way it was kind of left, like the sun. He said, the sun will rise again one day, your brother, or something like that. It's the last sort of thing you see of them together. Yeah, I would just like that. It's just me being,
yeah. We shall see. Well, everybody, thank you so much. We are getting ready to wrap up for hanging out with us. I do appreciate it. We've got 2 more episodes to go before we wrap up this first season of Loki. So before we go, though, real quickly, you guys, make sure that you look in the description. You will find the links for the channel for all of the folks that joined us here today. Make sure you check out their channels, look at what they're doing, give those guys a sub as well. We have a lot of fun talking about this show. I want to thank you for, again, to all of our illustrious panelists or hosts. Thank you for allowing me to host on this channel as well. And you guys were awesome. It's always a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody in the comments, for hanging out. And for those of you all who are watching this on the replay, hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. Make sure you drop a comment also. And that is it. All right, everybody. Say your goodbyes before we hit the off button.
Hey, it's always
Goodbye.
good to be here. You guys take care.
All right, everybody. Peace.